Jerry Jones. Every single Tuesday is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford, built for Texas, built for you. Jerry, good morning and happy birthday.
Well, thank you both, Sean, RJ, and appreciate it. You'll be about my third conversation of this birthday day. So, and if confrontation's not supposed to be in my makeup, I've already violated it twice before I got on the phone with you today. So.
Well, what were the first two calls then?
Well, we won't get into that, but we when we got ready to go on our call, my other call, we agreed to disagree.
Interesting.
I like that.
Jerry, how are you the most different today than like maybe 20 or 25 years ago?
Oh, I tell you, I really must admit that the future looks really better today than it did 25 years ago. And that sounds like just some rah-rah, but it's really not. When I look at all of the things where we generally are in my life today, the idea of what's going to be in the future really excites me. I've got, of course, the thing to be the most thankful for, a wonderful family, a lot of young people in it. I'm so excited to see, maybe be a little part of what they're doing every day as they move forward. And it's while I know we're dealing with things like the order, like what we're dealing with today after this weekend relative to the Cowboys. It's really, really a better, more aware feeling of just how good it is to get to be dealing with these problems and get to be a part of looking for solutions. So seriously, I think I've got a little better feel for, not feel, but a little better appreciation for what's around me.
Jerry Jones, the birthday boy, right here on 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, your emotion and your thoughts going back to Sunday with Dak Prescott's injury.
Well, I've been there before. I've felt that feeling before, and you can't play the game. You really can't unless you realize that you don't know at what spot of a team, but during a year you're more than likely going to feel that feeling. It just reminds you that no matter how you draw it up, it never comes out that way, and you've got to be ready to make adjustments. I obviously, as we all did, just poured out inside for Dak, and there's nothing in an athlete's makeup or nothing in his experience that is as bad as having an injury. And it's just the last thing you want to think about, and it's the most challenging thing you have to deal with. Obviously, this shows that no matter how you prepare yourself, and Dak's one of the most prepared people at this juncture that I've met. I'm not just talking about football players. He covers the gambit of trying to be ready to go. And I just, all of that goes through your mind. I look back at Romo. I look back at the three times that we really were feeling what was ahead when we lost Romo. I remember with Aikman. I can remember with guys like Quincy Carter. And you just realize that when you're thinking about your team and you're thinking about the position, you got to think at some point realistically and know that that player is not going to be out there all the time. It just doesn't work that way.
Jerry, we all expect to make a full recovery, but what is the big concern you have with his ability to recover from this?
I don't have any. I really don't have any. I don't at all. I got as much as God lets us get, and the nature of what they found when they did the surgery. It's all positive relative to a recovery. Nothing positive about it. Don't misinterpret. But it's positive as to his chances of getting it back to normal. We've had similar injuries. You do this long enough, and you've seen them. And we've had similar injuries before. And this is one of those that you can mend and come back and be as good as gold. What it does remind me, though, is that you cannot figure in as a part of your, as a real part of your offense. You really are vulnerable when you really put a running game in that really but just really utilizes a lot the running game with the quarterback. This game just is going to get you, you're going to get hurt. And so with your quarterback, and in this particular case, I don't even want to use the word quarterback, with Dak and all of the many things that he means to our team, we've got to be very judicious when we expose him in the future.
Jerry, what is the timeline for his recovery? Do you expect him to be 100% by, March, April, May?
Yeah, I would hope. Well, you got it. You're right in there. Now, I'd say, well, my goodness, which one? That's 90 days difference. But certainly, if you look ahead, he should be ready to go for our spring work and the latter part of the spring work. But knowing Dak, and that's a big part of this thing, knowing Dak and his makeup, he'll be back out there soon. Physically, I'm told by the doctors and by our own experience of seeing this injury, physically there should be no problem with him being back out there in early May or April.
Jerry Jones joined us here, 105 through the Fan. Jerry, there's been a lot of talk within the national media and some former players like Jason Hatcher talking about how criticizing you and the organization for not signing him. What was your reaction to some of that?
Well, I would say I think that we've got to be reminded that to have a team that we've got to really manage how we dole out our resources. Dak is deserving of anything you want to put on a piece of paper, relatively speaking. He's deserving of that. And he's had, if you evaluate what he can do to help us win championships, you can see that it's there. And plus, he's a leader at the premier leader spot. We've got to make it work. So what am I saying? I'm saying exactly the same thing that I said the last time we were asked about this before the season started. It's a part of the game, is the business and the contract part.
Jerry, Stephen was emphatic here on the station yesterday, and it made national news everywhere. This injury does not alter your thinking whatsoever about Dak as the face and future quarterback of the Cowboys, correct?
None. You mean this particular injury we've known for a long time, that you can have a great player at this spot, but then not have him at periods of time during his career. We had it with Aikman. We had it with Romo. You don't always have them. And so you've got to rely on other parts of your team. That's why we do not go into a contract negotiation with the idea that it stands alone. It has to be a part of the tools that you have, which is your salary cap, to put a team on the field and try to figure out the best way to win. And really, that's the underlying issue here.
Jerry, have you been able to speak with Dak since the injury? And if so, what were you able to convey to him?
Well, no, I did speak with him in the dressing room there before he went to the hospital. Yes, and I just so sorry for the circumstances, and was well aware of all of the things that could be going through his mind, seriously, and felt it with him.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan with Sean and RJ every Tuesday at 8:30. I know you were going into this year, a lot of Cowboy fans were going into the year with Super Bowl aspirations, with the excitement of this roster. I know you like your backup in Dalton, but does it feel like, Jerry, that those Super Bowl aspirations are now out the window after Prescott's injury?
Well, I'm immediately moving into how unique this year is with my thinking. Yes, obviously, this does impact expectations, and it could impact the reality of how and what we do. On the other hand, this is a different year, and if you've ever had one that you could approach in an unorthodox way, this is it. And certainly in the big scheme of things, to lose players important in this position as Dak, then we've got to basically adjust. I'm not going to spend a lot of time this morning, but Andy Dalton is a player that can get the job done in the NFL. He is a starting quarterback, and I'm being trite when I say this. And I think he's a starting quarterback on a very successful winning team.
Jerry, have other teams reached out, or have you reached out to other teams about trading for a quarterback?
No. And that's unlikely, and very little interest for me. We've got our quarterback in Andy Dalton, and we've got a young backup coming. That's the way I like it. We haven't always practiced it or gotten it done, but the fact that Nucci's here and the fact we're getting Gilbert coming, have the opportunity of a guy that we're all familiar with in this part of the country. I like, I'm real, not that we're having to do it, but I'm satisfied that we've landed in a good shape to go forward.
When Tony went down in 2016 and Dax took over, this was much more of a run-first offense. Do you expect, or would you like to see the offense kind of transition to more of a run-balanced offense than pass-first?
Well, we were basically in that we saw a version of a little bit of adjustment in the game against the Giants. And we very much need to be more balanced, which means more running. Other things would call for that as well, where we are in our offensive line. A lot of things that we'll be doing anyway. But Dak, Andy gives us the ability to run our offense as we've got it structured right now.
Jerry, you guys made a special teams hire that everyone was praising in the offseason. It doesn't seem like the special teams is that much better. The defense fell behind, along with the team and the turnovers. Is it just driving you crazy how it seems like it's the same thing every week, having to play catch-up, turnovers, some foolish penalties? Is it driving you nuts? And what faith do you have that it gets fixed or solved?
Well, the good news, the positive of it is these areas are very identifiable and they're dramatic. These early turnovers, they're dramatic in what they're doing for our defense or the challenge it gives our defense. The early offensive turnovers are. It's dramatic what when mistakes are made in the kicking game. They're usually involved with a change of possession, and when you make a mistake, it can alter the outcome. They're turnovers in and of themselves. When I look at the kinds of things that we have played and experienced many times not having any of those circumstances, I see that it's doable to play a game and not have early turnovers. I know that it's doable. I know that it's doable for our offense to be more sustained out there, which gives our defense better field position and less time on the field. These are the kinds of things that are positive room to give us a better chance to win the game. Those are doable things. Sometimes some of your personnel things are the ones, or your talent level, if you will, or if you will, injury. Those are the kinds of things that you have to have some slack to overcome.
Jerry, last one for you. I've always wanted to ask you this, and I'm going to do it on your birthday. Oh. You're maybe the most optimistic guy that we know. Does your optimism, do you ever think, hurt you with, in any way? Does it hurt you from being more realistic? Is it too positive? Look at things too glass half full. Does that ever come back to bite you a little bit with how optimistic you always are?
No, by choice. I don't want to live on that other side of the track, the skeptic. And it's smart to be skeptical at times. I don't want to live over there. But I'll stick my head like an ostrich. I'll stick my head in the ground sometimes and avoid spending some time over on that old negative side, or addressing things that by their very nature cause you to have to be negative. I don't like it over there. I run from it. I've had a lot of people that would say, I guess when I left the room, so to speak, he's naive. I love the world of naivety. I want to be naivety. I've gotten to do some things that if I hadn't have been naive, if I hadn't have been optimistic, I would have never been in that territory. And getting to be in that territory has caused me to be some things and do some things that I would have never done as more of a skeptic or more pragmatic.
Great answer. Love it. Hopefully this wasn't your third bad phone call of the morning. Hopefully it gets better. And enjoy the birthday celebration. Happy birthday, Jerry.
Thank you, guys. And it was not. As a matter of fact, it was a good feeling to be with you guys this morning. Thank you.